Welcome back in here to Live Now from Fox. The Live Now look back out there, and you can see downtown Manhattan over in New York City, because as I mentioned before the break, we want to tackle one of these big breaking news stories that we brought to you just yesterday. Later on today, New York City Mayor Eric Adams, he's going to be before a judge facing some corruption charges. Now, the judge was nominated by former President Joe Biden, scheduled today's hearing after 3 Trump administration lawyers from Washington made the dismissal request on Friday. Manhattan's top federal prosecutor resigned after she refused an order to do so. Now, Fox 5's Arthur Sheehan is outside the courthouse in Lower Manhattan, where it will all go down today. Arthur, what can you tell us?
Hey there. So all eyes are on this courtroom at 2 o'clock Eastern. Both parties are expected to appear before Judge Dale Ho. He wants them on the record making arguments about why they are asking for the prosecution of this corruption case to be dropped. Obviously, this request from the judge, or this order from the judge to come and make these arguments, was made after the acting U.S. Attorney Danielle Sassoon resigned in protest, but not before sending a letter to Washington saying that this was a quid pro quo, that Adams was getting the charges dropped in exchange for helping carrying out the agenda of the Trump administration. That is a charge that the mayor denies. He said there is no quid pro quo. He also denies any wrongdoing in relation to the corruption charges. Now, this has been a very complicated case, so we put together a timeline to catch everybody up on everything that led up to today.
Mayor Eric Adams' legal troubles began long before his first court appearance. According to the 5-count indictment against him, back in 2015, he established relationships with Turkish officials. Between October 2016 and 2017, he traveled to the country 3 times, allegedly accepting pricey tickets and luxury hotel stays in exchange for influence back in New York City. The swanky upgrades and expensive favors allegedly lasted through 2020. And in that year, Adams is accused of soliciting and receiving straw donations to circumvent the city's campaign finance rules. Fast forward to September of 2021, when the mayor allegedly put pressure on the FDNY to fast-track the opening of a new Turkish skyscraper on the east side, a building that was not up to code and failed inspection. It was in November of 2023 when the feds ramped up their investigation, raiding the home of Adams' aide, Brianna Suggs, and seizing the mayor's electronic devices. In 2024, the FBI raided the home of even more of his top advisors, including Winnie Greco. Fast forward to July of 2024, when the mayor is officially served grand jury subpoenas. And from that point forward, one aide after the next resigns, from the police commissioner to his chief counsel to the school's chancellor. And in September, the federal indictment against the mayor is unsealed.
I've done nothing wrong. Time will prove that.
While the mayor pled not guilty and denies any wrongdoing, the calls for him to resign start getting louder.
Look what happened. Is this crazy?
Then Trump wins the presidential election. It's November, which would set off a number of meetings, including Adams flying down to Mar-a-Lago to meet with Trump. And days later, Adams cancels appearances at Martin Luther King events in New York City to attend Trump's inauguration and ends up watching it from an overflow room. His absence on the profound holiday was noticed.
Some that should be here celebrating Dr. King with us in this room have chosen to go to Washington to celebrate Felon 47.
On February 10th, a major legal and political firestorm would be sparked as the Justice Department in Washington orders prosecutors in the Southern District of New York to dismiss Adams' corruption case without prejudice, meaning it could be brought up against Adams in the future. The letter said the case was hindering Adams' ability to do his job, including addressing the immigration crisis. But the acting U.S. Attorney in New York, Danielle Sassoon, a Trump appointee, refuses to sign off on dropping that case, claiming what was happening was a quid pro quo, where charges would be dropped in exchange for Adams' cooperation with the Trump administration. Sassoon would resign rather than sign off on the order. 6 other federal prosecutors joined her and quit. Protests begin around the city, and high-profile Democrats start saying it is time for Adams to step down. Meanwhile, the mayor continues to appear at churches where he has support, repeating his line that instead of stepping down, he intends to step up and weather the storm.
We're straight ahead. We're focused.
But the political turbulence would soon develop into a perfect storm, as half the deputy mayors would hand in their resignations on the same day, Monday, February 17th, citing they could no longer be true to their oaths to serve New Yorkers and their families. The 4 defections lead many to point out the mayor had, by then, lost the trust of his own staff. And by that night, Governor Kathy Hochul, who has the constitutional power to remove Adams from office, releases a statement calling on key leaders to meet with her, saying the alleged conduct in the 2 weeks leading up to this point is, quote, troubling and cannot be ignored. The next day, the meetings with various leaders takes place at the governor's office in Midtown Manhattan.
And that brings us to today at 2 o'clock this afternoon Eastern Time. Both parties are expected to appear in court and to testify before Judge Ho, explaining why they want the case dropped. Legal experts say one thing that's missing in this is somebody who's going to be in there to testify on behalf of the people and what this means for New Yorkers, because they point out that right now both prosecutors and the defendant in the case are aligned in this case. As for what happens now after the testimony, some are wondering if the judge will render a decision right away. The people that we've talked to say that that is incredibly unlikely, that he'll probably take all this information, process it, and then render a decision. They say this is a process that could take days, if not weeks. Obviously, it is something that the governor in New York is also waiting on. So there's a lot of pressure in this case. That's the latest from here in Manhattan, in New York. We go back to you, Carell.
Arthur Tian down there again for Fox 5 in New York. Thank you so much for that comprehensive report, because it has been such a long time coming to this day for the New York City mayor. We'll check in soon.
You got it.